Puja Swamiji, the learned members on this panel, and my dear sisters and brothers. The subject of this Purna Paramati seminar, that is Bij Raksha, has never been my subject of study. So I have very little understanding or knowledge of this subject. I have another serious handicap that I cannot either speak or understand Kannada. And so I don't know what the other learned speakers have stated on this subject. Yet I will take the courage with the Swamiji's kripa to present some of my ideas on this subject. I look upon Bij Tattva or seed at 3 or 4 different levels. I feel that in all Bharatiya or Hindu or Sanatan knowledge, understanding, Gyan, the Bij Tattva has been the concept of Brahma, the Almighty, the Eternal, the Omnipresent, Omnipotent Brahma, which is Satya, not just the Satya but the only Satya. Ishwar hi Satya hai, or Gandhi ji used to say, Satya hi Ishwar hai. I think that is the basic seed or Bij Tattva of the entire knowledge or Gyan that Hinduism or Bharatiyata starts from. And I think that particularly in these days, it has become very important not only to remember it, but to do some specific efforts to conserve that basic Bij Tattva of all our knowledge. Coming a little lower, and when I think of our Sanskriti culture, behavioral culture particularly, I think that the seeds or the basic tattva of our culture have been Kritagyata, Tyag, Kritagyata towards anyone from whom we have received something, some good thing, some kindness, we are Kritagya. In that comes the concept of Dev, Mata Devo Bhave, Pitri Devo Bhave, Guru Devo Bhave, and not just here. It proceeds to almost everything, to the entire nature, to the sun, to the moon, to the various planets, because we realize that our life is not independent. We are deriving strength, we are deriving energy, we are deriving the whole environmental advantages from them, and so we are kritagya to them, obliged. Our bhakti, our shraddha, all this arises, I think, from this feeling of kritagyata. And I see that this sense of kritagyata, gratitude, thankfulness is going down, even in our own next generations. And so we hear that sometimes children don't care for their parents or grandparents. And this I think, is the losing even the most intimate gratitude that we should have. Renunciation is not just giving up some physical items, but giving up any sort of comfort or the sort of feelings of liking, and that way I think from Tyag arises tapasya, and the sort of a seed of our planning for action has been that tapasya can lead you to so much strength that probably you can do anything. So that whole notion And when it was mentioned about Gangaji, I think Bhagirath and his ancestors, the sort of tapasya they did, and when somebody strives for something very difficult and strives hard, then sometimes we say that it is Bhagirath Prayas or Bhagiratta. So essentially, it is renunciation from which this tapasya and strength comes. Of course, one can go on and on in some of these things, but I think that the next level that one can talk of is the physical level of all living beings. Of course, life itself comes from Brahma. And after all, what is the difference between living and non-living? It's Atma. Without Atma, there is no life, and and Atma, I am Atma, Brahma. So, the unity of Atma and Brahma, and then Atma being present in all living beings, so that I feel is what one can say our environmental understanding, our environmental efforts. And I think without that sort of a thinking, the way that Hindu Sanskriti has cared for everything, even in Gita, as Lord Krishna in his Vibhutis, would include not just the well-known things, but even trees, small animals, larger animals, water living. So that sort of a thing, that it is the same Atma, and that Atma is a Brahma, not even a part, but it is just a Swarup of Brahma. So I feel that is very much at the root. Of course, when it comes to physical conservation of a species of life, Professor Hagday has very much in detail told you about many aspects, particularly the conservation of food, seeds of food items. But I think it is not just the food items, but all types of vegetation, weeds. It is not a question that we don't know their use today. We don't know how important they may become at some time when we gain knowledge. And one of the things that is very much being talked about, conserving this biodiversity or seed of the various species, is climate change. So much worry about climate change. Climate is changing. More rain, no rain at the proper time, absolutely no rain at the crop season. So all these sort of changes, the present varieties of the things that we use, whether for food or clothing or medicines or anything, that many of these varieties may not survive. And there it seems that some of the older varieties, older grains, older seeds, those varieties may more suit the changed climate. And so the importance of conserving this seed, Bij Raksha, becomes important there. But vegetation is not the only living beings. Even animals, insects, and they are one thing in which this mutt and its Goshala are doing, conserving Desi Gai. You see, all cows are not the same. There are qualities, specific qualities. And I think if one goes in Mahabharata, the way that cow milk and even the cow, one cow selected ultimately whose milk was given to Bhagwan Krishna. So that way, conserving, and it is not just a question of cows alone, but all living beings, whether vegetation, and that also comes the human beings themselves. And when it comes to human beings, I feel that the sort of doubts which were expressed by Arjun right in the first chapter about Varna Sankar taking place, Arjun was afraid that if this battle takes place and there is so much of destruction of the brave people fighting that Shurveer, and that may lead to Varna Sankar. But I think today our laws, our regulations and these things, I think are resulting into Varna Sankar. And I feel that if it is important to conserve the seeds of whether wheat or rice or maize or vegetables, it is also important to conserve the sort of specific species within men also. And that way I feel that some of this talk of intermarriages, intercaste, this and that, this is hybridization. And as hybridization is bad, whether one talks of vegetation or one talks of cows, that way hybridization, I feel, should not even be promoted in human beings. Well, friends, kindly excuse me if I have made any mistake or wrong statement, and all in all, I pray to Guruji that he will kindly pardon me for anything if I have said wrong. I thank you all.